What's going on, everybody? Happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Month. Got a fun little story for y'all. We're going to get some facts out the way. And we're going to talk about your independence. So, we all know that we were colonies before we were states owned by Britain. The colonies owned by Britain. The people of the colonies were subjects of the king, okay? Until we have the Revolutionary War. The Revolutionary War ends in a treaty called the Treaty of Peace in Paris, where it's quoted in the treaty, His Britannic Majesty acknowledges the freedom and sovereignty of the several states of the United States of America. Okay? Now, we go back to the states and we say, all right, guys, we're not a colony no more. We states. We the several states. And you're not a subject to the king no more. You are a citizen of the several states. And then in the Constitution, the several states gave the same privileges and immunities of the several states to the states and to its people. Okay? So now what does that mean? Now, its people is important because that's who the Constitution protects. It protects people. Okay? Not the language has persons in it. The Constitution language has persons in it, but it is different after a certain date period. And that date period is around 1860s, 1800s. Let's just say that. Be general. 14th Amendment's passed, and you get what's called the federal citizen. Okay, the federal citizenship at this time is just the 14th Amendment. People don't understand it, so a lot of stuff is happening. Susan B. Anthony. We get in these cases, you get something called the slaughterhouse cases. This is where they started to define what it actually meant in law, what this federal citizenship meant. Now you could just look this up. So you have a dual citizenship when you're born, right? You got two citizenships automatically at all times. You have them right now, okay? And not automatically when you opt into, but you have them, okay? You opted into it, and your parents did it for you. So anyway, you're in this system. Now you have two citizenships, and one is your nationality, which is on your birth certificate, right? What is your birth certificate? Your birth certificate says nothing about the United States. The birth certificate only says the state you're born in. And that state is Florida, New York, Texas. And if you're from them states, your nationality is Floridian, Texas, New Yorker. That's where you get those terms from. Okay? Those are important terms. That's a real nationality. We use it like nothing, but it's very much valid. Now, okay, after this and that, we look at something very funny. I find something very funny. So now that you kind of get that premise, okay, please do homework on it. I want you to see, like, people have rights in America. People, okay? Let's just talk grammar here. One, they tell you that when you're writing a name, you use uppercase, lowercase, okay? You don't use all caps, you use uppercase, lowercase, right? But then every paperwork you see, you get the uppercase, okay? That's like, describes like property and stuff like that, okay? So titles and property and stuff like that. That's what the uppercase is, right? So it's just crazy because we see that a lot. And then I look at it and I'm like paying attention and I'm like, okay, this is where it gets funny. Nobody's black, nobody's white. Okay, these things are not real Hispanic. These things are not real people. And hear me out. Just hear me out. Don't get crazy. But think about it. What describes a person, place, or a thing? A noun, right? We learned that in school. A noun. They told you that. We learned that. So that's what it is, right? It's a fact, right? You look it up. A noun describes a person, place, or a thing. And what describes the noun? An adjective. So it's a description of the noun. It's not the noun itself. It's a description of the noun. Okay? Think about that. What is black? A color, a description. Okay? Not a people. There is no land that is black land, like there's African, right? You have Africa, right? You have American, and you have America, right? Those are that's the actual people. And then because of federal law, now you have a Floridian and a New York, like that's how that works, right? Same thing. Spain, you have a Spaniard. That's how that works. All right. So you don't have that here in America when you talk about yourself. When we talk about ourselves here in America, we talk about the adjective when we talk about us. We just use the description. Descriptions don't have rights. That's the whole thing. The descriptions don't have rights. So people have rights. Nouns have rights. A person, like a place, a thing, like that. Well, not a thing. You know what I'm trying to say. You get what I'm trying to say. But that's what has rights. So the description of you is a federal noun. Now we use it as to classify you. So now when we take a description and then we use it to classify someone, we can do anything we want to it. They can do anything they want to that because that's basically them creating a race. Okay? And it's not a race. So then you understand, there's no land, there's no nation of black people, right? Until the 1800s. After the 1800s, you get the first, somehow, there's already continents on Earth for forever, and now you get, all of a sudden in the 1800s, after America's built and thriving, you get black people or white people out of nowhere. Now people are black and they're white. They're just the descriptions of who they are. See, white people come from Europe, from certain sections of Europe. Black people come from everywhere. Black people were everywhere first. So, and white people come from Europe and stuff like that. And that's how that works. So when you look at it, white people are, they're Scottish, they're things like that. Okay? Now they created a whole new race, fine, but what did they do with the race? Like they gave it civil rights, not natural rights. All right, so think about it like this. When you take a benefit from a sovereign, it's two sovereigns, right? Because everybody's sovereign, right? The state has its sovereignty, the people have its sovereignty. We went over that. Now, when you take a benefit, that's like a man asking another man for help. So I could put stipulations on my help. So if I give you, let's say, food stamps, and I'm gonna tell you, okay, but you can't buy no hot food, and you can't buy no and you can't take this to a restaurant or something like that. You can't use it in a restaurant. That's my stipulations. Same thing with a lot of situations, like your license plate. All right. And so, black, that's an adjective, a whole created race. White, an adjective, a whole created race that you are not. You most likely from Poland, from somewhere else, from an actual place, but not white, because it's not a place. And then the Hispanic stuff, the Hispanic stuff is the funniest one, because they use, Spaniards, you have Spanish people, you have Spaniards. Spaniards come from Spain, okay? And they speak Spanish, and they used to speak Latin. But then they colonized the world, and then that's how it works, right? So then in America, you get Hispanic. What is that? That's an adjective. It's not a, I think you get, I think maybe there might be Hispania. Let me check. I only see Hispania in Colombia. So there's no Hispanic like land, and there is no, when you say you Latino, that's a Latin was the language, so you can't be a language, and you can't be Hispanic because that's not, and you can't be Spanish because that's also a language. So we categorize ourselves here as descriptions of actual things, and we don't have, and descriptions, I promise you, they do not have rights. They have none. America is crazy. Just look at it. So real quick, just here's some case law. All right. I gave you the Constitution. I gave you the treaty. Here's State versus Manuel. Okay. The term citizen, as understood in our law, is precisely analogous to the term subject in common law. And the change of phrase is entirely resulted from the change of government. The sovereignty has been transferred from one man to the collective body of people. Langs versus Smith, the people of the state, as the successors of its former sovereign, are entitled to all rights which formerly belonged to the king by his own prerogative. So you got to understand, the 14th Amendment was never properly ratified. Legislation just put it in, then went around after and started changing the constitutions. But if you read some constitutions above the preamble, it'll tell you that after a certain date, this is not valid to the Constitution, it's legislation.